Village of the Giants released in October 1965. Bert I. Gordon directed and produced this film with a $750,000 budget, using matte techniques, rear projection, specially made props, and split-shot special effects. Be warned, this review will include spoilers for a 59-year-old movie. Hello everyone, some of you may be unfamiliar with me and my work.
Who am I? What am I?
If you are unfamiliar, then let me introduce myself. I am Solomon G, aka Solo. I write and review media about giants and tiny people. Today, the media in question is the mix of science fiction and beach party that is Village of the Giants. By the way, the beach party genre was created by American International Pictures, AIP, beginning in 1963 with Beach Party starring Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello. Its popularity spawned several follow-ups from AIP, plus a number of imitators from other studios. The genre was aimed at teenagers and employed simple stories, which avoided controversial topics. No mention of the war in Vietnam or the civil rights movement. Instead of weighty concerns, they had fun activities such as dancing, girls in bikinis, music, romance, skydiving, surfing, etc. Adults played only minor roles or were antagonists. Despite the genre's name, sometimes the films did not take place on the beach, but instead at ski resorts or stock car racing tracks. As mentioned before, Bert I. Gordon directed and produced Village of the Giants. Previously, Bert made The Cyclops, The Amazing Colossal Man, and War of the Colossal Beast, each featuring menacing giants. He also directed and produced Attack of the Puppet People, in which miniaturized people were menaced by comparatively enormous animals and humans. In 1961, Forrest J. Ackerman, editor of Famous Monsters of Filmland, made a connection between Bert's initials B.I.G. and Bert's bigger-than-life creations. Of course, Bert became aware of his nickname, Mr. Big, and even used it in the title of his autobiography. However, during interviews, he never showed appreciation for big monsters. When asked in the February 2000 issue of Video Watchdog why people getting bigger and smaller was attracted to him, he replied, "I don't know." He gave the same answer in 2003 during the 20th annual Insect Fear Film Festival, when Marty McKee inquired what about giant animals interested him. In a 2010 interview with James Ralph, the YouTuber known as Angry Video Game Nerd, James asked Bert about the interest in larger-than-life monsters. But instead of talking about monsters, Bert told a story about his first film camera.
Was there any inciting incident when you first got interested in creating larger-than-life monsters?
Well, it started, I was about 9 years old. My aunt gave me a 16mm camera.
For a guy who created famous monsters, Bert did not have any particular love for them. Contrast Bert's indifference to Guillermo del Toro's affection for Godzilla, king of the monsters.
I love that creature. I love Godzilla. I wanted to see more and more. I'm always been a monster guy.
I'd argue that a director with passion makes better art than a director with apathy. Bert also took more credit than he deserved. For example, in 1957, Bert and Mark Hanna co-wrote the screenplay for The Amazing Colossal Man. Both of their names are listed on the poster, and Mark Hanna noted in his own autobiography that they worked together. However, Bert did not mention Mark Hanna in Bert's autobiography, thus implying that Bert wrote everything. Bert reportedly treated women on set poorly, including his own wife. Actress Gloria Talbot worked for Bert on 1957's The Cyclops. Gloria claimed that Bert treated his wife like the help, and that in general he had a disregard for actresses. Vicki London, one of the actresses in Village of the Giants, recalled that Gordon wanted the girls to take off their tops so he could pick the female lead. Vicki refused, and as a consequence her role was severely reduced. Gail Gilmore, born Gail Gerber, recalled this incident in her book Tripping with Terry Southern. Gail also thought Gordon sought to punish Vicki for refusing to go nude. In 1970, Bert made a adult comedy called How to Succeed with Sex, which included a scene which recommends placing women in situations where the implication is they either sleep with their seducers or drowned.
Of course, the whole scene plays better if the seducee is unable to swim.
Do you swim?
No, I don't.
That was messed up. Bert's first wife, Flora, worked on his movies, most notably doing special effects. However, the two divorced in 1979, and there was absolutely zero mention of Flora in Bert's autobiography, even though they had been married for over 30 years, had 3 daughters together, and worked side by side on his most influential pictures. During the interviews with Marty McKee and with Video Watchdog, Bert made it clear that he would not answer any questions about Flora. Apparently, their split was not amicable. Overall, while I enjoy a few of his films, I am not a fan of Bert himself. Returning to the creation of Village of the Giants, it all began with a limousine ride to the airport, during which Bert pitched various ideas to Joe Levine, owner of Embassy Pictures. Per his autobiography, Bert did not have much time to prepare beforehand. He made several suggestions which did not land until he tried one last attempt, suggesting something starring children of famous Hollywood actors. When Joe Levine asked about the story, Bert suggested a H.G. Wells tale about giants. Joe approved, and Village of the Giants, loosely based on H.G. Wells' Food of the Gods, went into production. The top billed performers would be Tommy Kirk, star of several Disney movies, Johnny Crawford, a former Musketeer and star of the Rifleman series on ABC, and then child actor Ron Howard, Opie on The Andy Griffith Show. Bert's idea was a film starring children of established stars. Accordingly, he cast Beau Bridges, son of Lloyd Bridges.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Bert also hired Tim Rooney, son of Andy Rooney, and Tisha Sterling, daughter of Robert Sterling and Ann Southern. In a June 1965 column by Harold Heffernan, entitled Two Sides of Nepotism, Tisha emphasized that she wished to be judged on her own merit. In contrast, Beau saw nothing wrong with using his dad's name to get a job. Spoiler alert, this nepotism did not succeed at the box office. According to film historian Tim Lucas's Blu-ray commentary, Village of the Giants failed to make back its production costs. By the way, Alan Caillou was hired to write the script, and this is one of Alan's photos at IMDb. Surely they took one look and said, yeah, that guy's got the brain power we need. Now let's review the story. It involves 2 gangs of young adults and a small boy nicknamed Genius, who creates goo, a powerful substance that makes things grow. A few different animals turn gigantic, and then the bad gang steals the goo and become 30 feet tall. The Giants kidnap the sheriff's young daughter, take over the town, and the good guys have to figure out how to save the day. Beginning with the positives, this growth sequence was great. In classic black and white B-movies, The Amazing Colossal Man, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, and The 30-Foot Bride of Candy Rock, characters grew giant off-camera. Modern color films such as Attack of the 60-Foot Centerfold, Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl, and Giantess Battle Attack also omit transformations. Buxom Joy Harmon played Marie, the girlfriend of Beau Bridges' character Fred. I appreciate how she danced with the tiny man hanging off her top, and later another tiny man dropped onto her chest. She played a prominent role in advertising of this picture. After this movie was done, she showed off her curves again in Cool Hand Luke, An Angel in My Pocket.
Good Lord.
Isn't that clever?
Yeah. Twin engines.
Oh, that's funny!
In another plus, any self-respecting mad scientist would be proud to own this laboratory. It was full of brightly colored chemicals bubbling and steaming out of their flasks, while a red light flickered on and off. The soundtrack wasn't bad, but none of the songs were great. 1965 had memorable hits such as Wooly Bully, Stop, In the Name of Love, and You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin', often played on the radio, on TV, and at the cinema for decades to come. However, the songs in Village of the Giants did not stand the test of time, at least not for the general public. Let me know in the comments below if you're a fan of the musicians in this movie, the Beau Brummels, Freddie Cannon, or Mike Clifford. 80s music fans should keep an eye out for Toni Basil, who played Red. She recorded the #1 hit Mickey in 1981. Regarding negatives, there is significant sloppiness regarding continuity. Things happen which a viewer would expect to be resolved, but instead they were forgotten. For example, a cat wandered into Genius's lab, ate goo, and became gigantic. The overgrown feline went outside and was never heard from again. Did that enlarged tabby terrorize dogs and neighborhood children? Probably. In another scene, a worm crawled out of a flask and escaped down the drain. Hope it doesn't cause problems in the water supply. The special effects were unconvincing, partly due to overreach. The worst example was the scene where Mike's gang attempted to capture Fred. The fake legs looked like diseased tree trunks and were rigidly immobile. Bert could have cut out the scenes of the dancing ducks and enormous spider and concentrated more on making the enlarged humans look better. The Giants used their overwhelming size to take over the town of Haynesville and allegedly to free teenagers from adult rules. However, that theme of liberation felt weak. I remember my own teenage concerns. Will I ever get a girlfriend? What kind of job will I find? When will I learn to drive and have my own car? What does beer taste like? However, Fred's gang had already resolved all those concerns. Fred had a girlfriend and a brand new Ford Mustang. Furthermore, he was wealthy enough not to worry when he wrecked that Mustang. He also drank beer. And he had a job in the, quote, meat business in Los Angeles, unquote, working for his old man. Fred and his friends were apparently already living as adults. Of course, teenagers could watch this and still imagine themselves as powerful giants fighting the system. But when Fred complained about adults keeping kids in line, his words rang hollow because he was already living without any apparent restrictions before he was a giant. Additionally, good guy protagonist Mike was not quite what I expected. First, he repeatedly kissed Jean when presumably Mike's own girlfriend Nancy would have objected, but nothing came of that. Notably, in that aspect, he actually mimicked Frankie Avalon's behavior in movies like How to Stuff a Wild Bikini. And yes, that's the name of a real movie. He also appeared to take ownership of Genius's goo and talked how it would make them rich. But Mike had nothing to do with its creation, so why should Mike profit from it? I guess because he was dating Genius's sister? Most importantly, Mike had little to do with defeating the Giants. Instead, Genius inadvertently made an antidote and exposed the Giants to it, solving the big problem without Mike's help. The ultimate resolution was anticlimactic. Overall, the most significant problem was tone. If Village of the Giants had been performed as a broad comedy, then they could have introduced, then nonchalantly discarded sensational events. For example, there is a scene in 1980's Airplane in which an airline pilot attacks solicitors. That worked because Airplane was a comedy, and viewers did not expect realism. In real life, this pilot would be charged with assault. In contrast, Village of the Giants was played straight. The Giants took a young girl as a hostage. The threat was that the Giants could seriously injure or worse kill that innocent child if the sheriff opposed them. This shoved a dramatic tone shift into the story. Yet at the end, Fred's gang merely left town, suffering no consequences for the turmoil they caused, much less addressing the trauma they inflicted on the innocent young girl. Now, I ain't no highfalutin legal expert, but I do believe there are repercussions for the unlawful restraint of a person's liberty by force. Furthermore, the useful nature of the victim may call for severe consequences. Lastly, I am confident that even though the person in question was rescued and suffered no physical harm, that did not absolve the perpetrators of their crime. Reoccurring bad guys in Frankie and Annette's Beach Party films were members of the motorcycle gang The Rats, led by Eric Von Zipper. Von Zipper made serious threats, but he was consistently incompetent and silly. He was easily defeated in hand-to-hand combat by a middle-aged professor. He mistakenly broke his own sunglasses, was unable to read, fell off his motorcycle, etc. Von Zipper was a buffoon, so his inclusion was appropriate for a light comedy. Village of the Giants should have followed that lead and made their threats more like Von Zipper's clumsy antics. In summation, I cannot recommend Village of the Giants to anyone but a die-hard Giants fan. It's not funny or romantic, nor action-packed enough for the average movie watcher. Modern folks will most likely not find Village of the Giants to be incomprehensible or offensive, but instead it'll just be boring. However, the appeal of youthful rebellion is everlasting, and this is one of those movies which is perfect for a remake. Why copy successful classics when you can improve box office failures? That's it for today, folks. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. If you're over 18 and would like to read editorials, reviews with artists and authors, and other reviews, then hop over to thereshegrows.net. I'll see you there.